A Venezuelan national dubbed the migrant influencer is at the center of controversy this morning. He has been using TikTok.
Places like New York and California, that's exactly what's happening in this country. Homes are being invaded.
Are going to magnify the idea that squatting is an alternative to not having enough housing.
Well, that's called squatting, and believe it or not, when it happens, it's really hard to evict the squatters.
And it happens more than you think. Getting those people out has been nearly impossible until now.
Taking advantage of squatting laws. A Venezuelan migrant has gone viral after he posted a video to social media that explained how illegal immigrants can take advantage of squatting laws and stay in American homes. I have thought about invading a house in the United States, a man identified as Lionel Moreno said in the TikTok video. I found out that there is a law that says that if a house is not inhabited, we can seize it. The man told his followers in Spanish that he anticipated his next business would be invading abandoned houses. He claimed that some of his African friends have told him they have already taken 7 homes in the United States. Moreno also said that for migrants to avoid living on the streets and not to be a public burden, the law says deteriorated homes can be acquired by others, repaired, and lived in. The man also claimed the new inhabitants can then sell the house. Squatters and tenants' rights laws vary across the country, with some states providing protection for non-paying individuals, allowing them to occupy a property for extended periods. In areas where complex law bar police from taking action, homeowners have few options to reclaim their property beyond pursuing a civil case, which can take months. A property owner in New York City was recently arrested after a standoff with a group of squatters who allegedly took over the woman's property following her parents' demise. Police told the homeowner that the squatter could not be kicked out and they would have to go to court. They arrested Adele Andaloro for unlawful eviction over her changing the locks on the home. The squatting case follows other high-profile squatting incidents across the country.
Down on squatter. Those are people who move into a home, never pay for it, and refuse to leave.
A Venezuelan national dubbed the migrant influencer is at the center of controversy this morning. He has been using TikTok.
Influencer on TikTok appears to be trying to put others on game on how to take over U.S. homes.
Our community has been shaken by this experience. We never thought something like this would happen, and I would not wish this on anyone.
Including a separate case in Queens, where a couple and their child, who has Down syndrome, say they have been unable to move into their $2 million home due to a squatter. Nearly 7.3 million migrants have crossed into the U.S. illegally since the start of 2021, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. Since 2002, Texas has sent over 100,000 migrants to major cities in other states, with most ending up in New York City and Chicago. The Big Apple spent $1.45 billion in fiscal 2023 on migrant costs and expects to spend a combined $9.1 billion housing migrants in 2024 and 2025, according to Bloomberg. The TikToker Moreno previously garnered attention online when he argued his 500,000 followers to unite and pay the fines of a 15-year-old migrant who allegedly shot a tourist in Times Square. I invite you to find his mother and for all of us to unite to pay the fines so that the young Venezuelan feels that he's not alone during difficult moments. Remember that up there's a God who sees everything down here, the Venezuelan TikToker said in the video that achieved over 2.5 million views. He continued, "An entire nation is on top of him instead of helping him. Remember that the young man is going to be released, and he will be released. Do you know why? Because he's underage. You don't know when God is going to put you in a situation like the one this young man is in." Moreno continued in the clip, referencing the attempted slaying charges against teenager Jesus Alejandro Rivas Figueroa, who is being tried as an adult. Provocative saga of Lionel Moreno. The case of Leonel Moreno, commonly referred to as a migrant influencer, has ignited a firestorm of controversy, prompting discussions about immigration, wealth, ethics, and societal values. Moreno's unabashed flaunting of wealth, coupled with his disdain for conventional labor and apparent exploitation of government resources, has polarized opinions and raised questions about the boundaries of acceptable behavior and the moral compass of individuals. At the heart of the debate surrounding Moreno lies the issue of illegal immigration and its societal implications. Moreno's status as an undocumented immigrant complicates the narrative, as it brings to the forefront questions about legal obligations, entitlements, and the responsibilities of both individuals and the state. By openly discussing his receipt of government handouts while simultaneously mocking the system and those who work hard to support it, Moreno has become a lightning rod for criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. On one hand, Moreno's actions have been condemned as emblematic of entitlement and exploitation, with many viewing his behavior as disrespectful to taxpayers and harmful to the integrity of social welfare programs. By boasting about his ability to live comfortably without working and his plans to profit from squatting on abandoned properties, Moreno has ignited a debate about the ethical implications of leveraging legal loopholes for personal gain. Furthermore, Moreno's disregard for the struggles of other migrants who come to the U.S. seeking employment in labor-intensive jobs has sparked outrage.
In fact, we have seen squatters move in and claim residence.
Are going to magnify the idea that squatting is an alternative to not having enough housing
Before they can be evicted, and a lot of times the process is very expensive.
As it seemingly undermines the experiences of those who contribute to society through hard work and perseverance. His mockery of individuals who adhere to conventional paths to success underscores broader societal tensions surrounding wealth inequality, privilege, and opportunity. The case of Leonel Moreno also underscores broader debates about the ethics of wealth accumulation and the societal values that underpin notions of success and achievement. By openly prioritizing financial gain over traditional notions of hard work and meritocracy, Moreno challenges conventional norms and expectations surrounding the pursuit of wealth and status. His unapologetic pursuit of success, despite facing criticisms and condemnation, speaks to broader shifts in societal attitudes towards wealth, privilege, and the means by which individuals achieve success. Ultimately, the ongoing saga of Leonel Moreno serves as a microcosm of larger debates surrounding immigration, wealth, and exploitation in modern society. As authorities and the public grapple with the complexities of his actions and statements, the case of Moreno highlights the need for nuanced discussions about the structural inequities that shape individual choices and behaviors. Whether viewed as a symbol of entitlement or a product of systemic injustices, Moreno's stories invite reflection on the ethical and moral dimensions of immigration, wealth, and opportunity in contemporary America. And to squatting scams. After alarming stories about squatters commandeering homes and depriving the owners of their property rights made nationwide news in recent weeks, DeSantis took action. We are in the state of Florida are ending the squatter scam once and for all. And momentarily, I'll be signing HB 621, which will give the homeowner the ability to quickly and legally remove a squatter from a property, and which will increase criminal penalties for squatting, DeSantis said during a press conference on the signing at the Orange County State Attorney's Office. You are not going to be able to commandeer somebody's private property and expect to get away with it. We are in the state of Florida are ending this squatter scam once and for all, DeSantis added. The common sense law allows property owners to file an affidavit to prove they legally own a property. Squatters will quickly face criminal charges once it's proven that they illegally moved into a home. If the suspect is unable to produce documents authorizing his residency, the property owner can call on the sheriff's office to immediately remove the squatter from his home. The law establishes harsher penalties for squatting crimes, including a second-degree felony charge against squatters who damage a home, a first-degree felony charge against those who fraudulently sell or lease a property, and a misdemeanor charge against those who purposefully present a fraudulent lease. Previously, squatters in Florida, as well as other states, were considered tenants after a specific length of time, and legal property owners often had to launch lengthy and expensive court battles to legally remove them from their homes. Now we have not had the same type of issues here, as you've seen in California or New York. Nevertheless, our laws were really geared towards this not necessarily being a fad, DeSantis said. The governor said that unlike Democrat-led states that protect squatters, Florida will crack down on the criminals.
Places like New York and California, that's exactly what's happening in this country. Homes are being invaded.
We move on next here tonight to the new state law that now allows squatters to be thrown out of homes that don't belong to them.
Imagine going on vacation and coming home to find people living there and refusing to leave
before they can even be removed from the property. These are people that never had a right to be in the property to begin with.
Squatters actually is a very, very kind term. These are criminals and con artists that need to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. He continued, Florida, similar to other states across the nation, has seen repeated incidents of squatters fraudulently moving into a home or property, including a squatter in September who moved into a multi-million-dollar home in Bonita Springs and was found wearing the homeowner's clothing. Another homeowner in June, who was on vacation abroad before returning to his Ocala house, was forced to confront a squatter who trashed his property in his absence, while residents in a neighborhood in Winter Park sounded off in September that squatters had turned the area into a nightmare because the police department was handcuffed from arresting the suspects as it was considered a civil matter. DeSantis pointed out that in Florida, there are many seasonal residents who reside in the state for half the year and leave their houses unattended when they return to their home states in the north. The governor said those people shouldn't have to worry that some rogue person moves in and tries to assert rights against the lawful property owner. DeSantis said that he believes Florida is the first state to decisively handle this problem. DeSantis takes decisive action. Florida's Republican governor, Ron DeSantis, recently made headlines by signing a bill into law aimed at addressing the issue of squatting in the state. This move, which abolishes squatters' rights and introduces stricter penalties for offenders, marks a significant shift in how Florida deals with property-related disputes. DeSantis' decision reflects a broader trend among lawmakers to prioritize the protection of property rights and crack down on illegal occupation of residential properties. At a press conference in Orlando, Governor DeSantis emphasized the importance of safeguarding private property and putting an end to what he called the squatter scam. He declared that these scams are going to end. With these words, DeSantis underscored the seriousness of the issue and the need for decisive action. The new law, set to take effect on July 1st, represents a significant departure from previous policies regarding squatting. Under the legislation, individuals found squatting in homes will face criminal charges, marking a departure from the previous classification of squatters as tenants. DeSantis' remarks reflect broader partisan division surrounding property rights and the role of government in addressing housing-related disputes. The passage of the bill in Florida reflects a growing recognition of the need to address the issue of squatting comprehensively.
In Florida from squatters, the new law eliminates squatters' rights and makes it easier for law enforcement to evict.
To coach migrants how to live in the U.S. by taking advantage of laws protecting squatters.
Well, that's called squatting, and believe it or not, when it happens, it's really hard to evict the squatters.
Remedies, because what the squatters know is even when they're in the wrong, it's a massive process many times.
By criminalizing squatting and strengthening property owners' rights, lawmakers are sending a clear message that illegal occupation of residential properties will not be tolerated. This legislative action reflects a broader trend towards prioritizing property rights and ensuring that homeowners are protected from unauthorized occupation of their properties. However, the new law also raises questions about its potential impact on vulnerable populations, including individuals experiencing homelessness. Critics argue that criminalizing squatting could further marginalize already marginalized groups and exacerbate housing insecurity. They point out that many individuals resort to squatting out of necessity due to lack of affordable housing options and limited access to social services. Moreover, the effectiveness of the new law in deterring squatting and protecting property rights remains to be seen. Some critics argue that the law may not address the root causes of squatting and could lead to unintended consequences, such as increased criminalization of poverty and homelessness. They emphasize the importance of addressing underlying issues such as housing affordability and access to legal assistance for property owners and tenants alike. By prioritizing property rights and streamlining the eviction process, lawmakers are taking decisive action to protect homeowners and ensure the integrity of the housing market. However, the new law also raises important questions about its potential impact on vulnerable populations and the need for comprehensive solutions to address housing insecurity. As the law takes effect, it will be important to monitor its implementation and evaluate its effectiveness in achieving its intended goals. Squatter crisis looms large. A handyman turned squatter hunter is concerned that migrants entering the U.S. will catch on to states' lenient tenants' rights laws and create a squatting crisis that's beyond control. We have masses coming in. They're going to be looking for places to live. And if we don't have the housing for them, if they're coming in with no money, they can't rent the traditional way. Flash Shelton, founder of the United Handyman Association and SquatterHunters.com, told Fox News. When they start finding out that many states have permissive laws for squatters, our squatter situation is going to go beyond control. He added, squatters and tenants' rights laws vary across the country, with some states providing protection for non-paying individuals, allowing them to occupy a property for extended periods. In areas where complex laws bar police from taking action, homeowners have few options to reclaim their property beyond pursuing a civil case, which can take months. Shelton has advocated for reforming laws to hamper people's ability to squat and warned that the influx of migrants coming across the southern border could make the squatting problem substantially worse. What are we going to do later when we have 1 million people squatting in this country? Shelton said, when not only do we have a border issue that we can't even figure out, but now we have people that are being mentally, financially, physically messed with because they've lost their home to all of these people. Regardless of how you feel politically or morally about the situation,
well, not anymore. New state law will make the process much easier for property owners.
Folks looking to sell their home after they move away. There are times when squatters settle into those empty homes.
We noticed somebody was in the house. They drew all the blinds, like put things over all the windows.
Actually living inside here illegally. They even tried to sell the house while the homeowner, the county.
Put that aside and just think about the masses, Shelton added. Nearly 7.3 million migrants have crossed into the U.S. illegally since the start of 2021, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. Since 2022, Texas has sent over 100,000 migrants to major cities in other states, with most ending up in New York City and Chicago. The Big Apple spent $1.45 billion in fiscal 2023 on migrant costs and expects to spend a combined $9.1 billion housing migrants in 2024 and 2025, according to Bloomberg. Let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said in September. This issue will destroy New York City. The already lacking resources to handle the hundreds of thousands of homeless Americans living on city streets across the country have been further depleted due to the new flood of people seeking refuge, Shelton said.
Property appraiser, he says this home here in Dania Beach is actually an example of a pretty recent squatting case.
And it happens more than you think. Getting those people out has been nearly impossible until now.
All the advantages that you can get from squatting, it's inevitable that it's going to increase.
People aren't going to be able to just move into your house and then claim squatters' rights on your private residence.
He questioned what's to stop migrants from using squatting loopholes to their advantage if they realize they can reside in vacant homes rent-free for months on end. We have irresponsibly opened the door for a whole lot of people to come into this country, and we aren't prepared to deal with them, Shelton said. What's the negative for these people to then start taking over these houses? The California handyman had his first experience removing squatters in 2019, when two women took over his mother's home that was up for sale. After local law enforcement couldn't help, Shelton spent days dissecting laws around squatters' rights and managed to get rid of the women within a day using a loophole that included signing a lease agreement with his mother, designating him as the legal resident of the home. Now he uses his experience to provide squatter removal services for others. He warned about the nightmare scenario the country will face down the road if politicians don't take action to curb squatting right now. I'm spending all this time trying to bring awareness to squatting and bring awareness to how the law needs to change, Shelton told Fox News. Is it going to get worse before it gets better? I think it's already there. I think it's going to just get beyond repair at some point, he added. Challenges posed by immigration law. Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson anticipates farmers along the construction and tourism industries will face challenges due to recently signed legislation that targets illegal immigration. But in defending the need to secure the nation's southern border with Mexico, Simpson added he's yet to hear of any issues surfacing since Governor Ron DeSantis last week signed a bill that steps up requirements on businesses to check the immigration status of workers. The law, which doesn't go into effect until July the 1st, also cracks down on people who bring undocumented immigrants into Florida and requires data from hospitals on whether patients are in the country legally. I think that we get it as farmers and as Americans and Floridians that you cannot keep having an influx of illegal folks coming across that border, realizing the tragedies that are happening on both sides of that border when they get here. Simpson, an egg farmer, told the News Service of Florida after addressing the Capitol Tiger Bay Club in Tallahassee on Thursday. I think this is a minimal step that you have to take, Simpson continued, to make sure that we're not promoting people that come from that border that's been pillaged on one side of the border with the fentanyl and the drugs that come to Florida and think they can be employed. The law requires businesses to use the federal E-Verify system to check employees' immigration status. Simpson said he's heard from groups that believe the changes will pose a challenge, especially for tourism-related businesses. Some farmers already are using the federal verification system. Simpson also said he's heard reports of Hispanic truckers protesting the law and workers failing to show up at construction sites, but said he hasn't seen such actions. I think as people read the bill, I think they get an understanding of what the assignments are. They're law-abiding citizens. They're gonna follow the law, said Simpson, a Republican who served as president of the Florida Senate from 2020 to 2022, and they're going to run their business the way they have to. So, they can either complain about it or comply. And since it's state law, they're going to comply. DeSantis, who is expected to announce a 2024 presidential run in the coming weeks, has fiercely criticized the Biden administration's handling of migrants entering the country from the southern border with Mexico. Earlier this week, DeSantis said the state will send 800 Florida National Guard troops other law enforcement officers, and equipment to Texas to help with border control. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.